Shalom, shalom, Israel. What's good? What's good, man? Happy Sabbath, man. But today's topic is the slaves. Who were they? Were they Christians or were they Israelites? See, many people don't understand the difference between a religion and a nationality. But I've been wanting to try to help people understand something, man. When you get into scriptures, man, when you get in Deuteronomy 28, 6-8, I'm going to hit you with Deuteronomy 28, 6-8. And it says, this is a curse that was placed upon the nation of Israel, on the children of Jacob, in the time of Moses. When Moses got the law, statutes, and commandments, it was given unto the children of Israel for a strict guideline. Now we got to understand something. Who were these slaves that came over here on those slave ships? Where did they come from? See, everybody get caught up thinking that everybody is so-called African. But we know that Africa is filled up with so many different tribes and so many different cultures over there. We don't come from a tribal community over there in so-called Africa. Now, when people get into the understanding of who actually the slaves were, where did they come from? Even though we know about the 70 AD Roman invasion of Jerusalem that pushed the inhabitants to the east, to the west coast of Africa, so-called Africa, which was actually Ethiopia. But we're going to get into it. Deuteronomy 28, 6-8. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. Now we know Egypt just means house of bondage. Now we know Egypt is actually a nation over there in so-called over there in that continent that everybody call Africa. But we got to understand something. Egypt and Jerusalem and Saudi, all of them over there in the same region, but they're different. Now we got to understand something. Jerusalem, actually, when the children of Israel went and took Jerusalem, even the scriptures tell you they took the land of Canaan and it became Jerusalem. It became a holy city for the nation of Israel. Now we got to get into something. See, people got to understand that these Caucasians had our history first. But when we was able to read and write, it was time for us to understand who we are. But we lack the knowledge and we lack the commitment to drive, to push forward, to understand who we are as a people. Even though we're in 2017. Now we get into the understanding of Deuteronomy 28, 6-8. And it said, the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. We know that the children of Israel, when they got the law, statutes, and commandments, they had already walked out of Egypt. So how can you go back into Egypt with ships unless you get on the water and get pushed to another land? See, we got to understand that first concept right there. And it said, by the way whereof I spake unto thee, meaning the Most High was telling you exactly what was going to happen to the children of Israel if they went off the law, statutes, and commandments. You see what I'm saying? Even when Moses came out of Mount Sinai and they was already worshiping the calf, he already instilled that judgment into them right there, telling them, look, if you go off the law, statutes, and commandments again, I'm going to put you into bondage. But see, people got to understand something. The Most High is chastising his children because every last individual on this earth is his child. But we got to understand who these slaves were that came off them ships in the transatlantic slave trade. People want to sit back in 2017 and want to say they're Egyptian, want to say they're African. They say African American, they're black. But you got to understand something. Jesse Jackson coined that phrase in 1988, calling you African American. But before you were called African American, you was labeled as Negroes. Now, I'm going to get into the historical evidence that proves to you that we're not so-called Christian, because Christianity is a religion that was derived by the Council of Nicaea under the Roman Catholic Church. Now, I'm going to get into it. Now, we in Deuteronomy 28, 6-8. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again. That means our homeland. Where is our homeland? We are a lost nation of people. Our homeland is Jerusalem, but they'll tell you come from so-called Africa. Africa is derived of so many different tribes and so many different nations over there, so many different places over there. Where exactly do we come from? Because we're not alike those people. Because we got the same complexion doesn't mean we're alike those people. But my thing is, I'm trying to help you understand the difference between who we were when we came off the slave ships and how they implemented Christianity on top of our people. Now we got to understand something. In Deuteronomy 28, 6-8, it tells you the curse that was placed upon the children of Israel. Now, this was way before any other prophets that came up and foretold that what was going to happen to the children of Israel if they kept going off the law, statutes, and commandments. Even the prophet Jeremiah told them what was going to happen. Now, we're finna get into it because these Christians will have you believe that you're Christian because they want you to love them. But I'm not saying you can't love the other nation, but at the end of the day, they got to cleave unto the God of Israel. You got to understand something. There's a God that's working with our nation, not the other nation around the earth. And when you get into Deuteronomy 6-8, 28, 6-8, it tells you, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. Where do we go if we already walked out of Egypt? How do we go back into the house of bondage again? How do we go? Because even during the Assyrian captivity, The northern tribe was pushed away from the southern tribe because they was going off the law, statutes, and commandments. The southern tribe was pushed into the Babylonian captivity. After every captivity, even though we was able to rebuild, but the northern tribe already got pushed to where? We don't know. That's the whole point. You got to understand something. When so-called Christopher Columbus came over here and invaded this land, it was inhabited by some other types of people. We already know that everyone come from Noah, Ham, Shem, and Japheth. We know that Noah, Ham, Shem, and Japheth was able to populate the whole earth because the Most High does it the way he do it. He don't do it the way we see fit. Now we got to understand who were these slaves that got off these slave ships, because the Caucasian will have you believe that you are so-called African American. We have you believe that you are not the descendant of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, because we have imposters claiming to be who we are according to 2017. But if you want to wake up and realize who you are and claim your nationality, then that's the best thing you can ever do, because the spirit within you is way holier than anything upon the face of the earth. And I'm calling out to the children of Jacob for a reason, because we got to understand something. Who were these slaves over here in America? Since we got so many so-called Sanborn coons and so many Uncle Toms that want to please their master, but they lack the understanding of why their ancestors went into slavery in the first place. And so many people want to downplay the Most High and the Creator, saying, why would your Creator put you in bondage? Why would he have the Caucasians murder you? The same reason the Messiah, the same reason the Most High set Noah up in the ark to come and rebuild the whole planet that he already flooded. You cannot question the Most High. You're supposed to do as told. Now, when I get into it, I want people to understand who were these slaves that came over here on the slave ships. Who were these people? Who were they? Were they Africans? How could that be when they were rounded up on the west coast of Ethiopia and sold into slavery by the Ethiopian government? You see what I'm saying? You got to understand who these people were. We were a different type of people. We had the Most High working with us. That's why the America is the strongest, one of the strongest, is a superpower today. Now we got to get into it. And I'm going to get into some historical facts so I can prove to you that we are not Christian, because none of the slaves could read and write. None of the slaves could preach, could go and pray in no church. None of the slaves could be a so-called Christian. You know why? Because these Caucasians never looked at us like that. They looked at us as property. They looked at us as animals, looked at us as dogs, looked at us as beasts. But we got to understand, why is it that our people in 2017 want to hold on to that Christian title, knowing it's just a religion? Come back to your nationality. Come back to who you are, so the Most High can deal with you and your nation as a whole. Because if you want to better your situation in life, you got to first understand how you got into that situation in the first place. We all were born into the world with no knowledge of this world. So we've been taught by these Caucasians in their school system. We've been taught by them. So they will have you believe whatever they want you to believe. The Darwin theory of evolution, the Big Bang theory. They will have you believe everything that they want you to believe. But you got to understand something. When the Most High leads you, he leads you according to his way, not man's way. You got so many different religions upon the face of the earth. And I'm going to tell you something. When the slaves got off those ships, those were a nation of people that was scattered throughout the whole entire earth. And I'm not even talking about the sub-Saharan slave trade. I'm talking about the transatlantic slave trade. Even though the sub-Saharan slave trade is what made the Arabs one of the most successful nations in the world, because they still have it going on today. But where are the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob at right now that's overpacking the prison system? You got to understand something. In Deuteronomy 28:6-8, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again, which is our homeland. Where is our homeland? Jerusalem belongs to us. It belongs to us. Whether we like to believe it or not, it belongs to us. But at the end of the day, what have you believe that you're a Negro? Have you believe that you come from Africa? Have you believe that you're African? How? Even though we look like those Hamitic people over there, we are Shemitic. They will have you understand that. You got to get so deep into the scriptures and getting deep into the history that you can't come out of it. Like me, I can't come up out of it. So all I know is the truth. And I try to give it to my people that's on the same page with me that want this understanding. Now we get into it. It said, the Lord shall bring you into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again. And there you shall be sold. There you shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen. Were we not sold on auction blocks throughout the whole entire United States and throughout the whole entire earth? Were we not sold for bondmen and bondwomen? Now, don't understand me. Listen to me. Sub-Saharan slave trade. If you do your due diligence, you will see that the Arabs enslaved Caucasians as well. They enslaved many different races of people. They mostly pride themselves in enslaving the European nation because they fought against them. We got to understand the wars that were set up, because the Most High deals with nations, not religions. We got to understand who these slaves were according to their nationality, not a religious practice that they adopted in slavery. Because before the Civil War, There was no Negro allowed to teach in a church. There was no Negro allowed to speak because you were able to go and do what congregate around your slaves that the Caucasians considered you able to do. But I'm going to get into that too. I'm going to pull some more historical facts out for you too. And we're going to get into Deuteronomy 28:6-8. And it said, thou shalt see it no more again. What will we not see it no more? What will we not see? Our ancestors will not see their homelands. They will have you believe that you come from Kenya, you come from Uganda, you come from Nairobi, or you come from Nigeria, you come from any one of those tribes over there. They will have you believe that you come from those tribes over there. When we know that we got strict laws, statutes, and commandments that was given unto us through Moses from the Most High. So it was given to the children of Israel. But we got to understand something. They was already going off the law, statute, commandment before they got them. So the Most High knew what was going to happen to them. So he told them, you're going to go back into bondage again because you're not going according to what I set up. Now we got to understand who these slaves were that came off these ships. They will not tell you, but you can do your due diligence and you can look at the manifest of the slave manifest and they will tell you who you are. They will tell you you are not African American. You are a Negro. They labeled you as Negro from the tribe of Judah. At the end of the day, Judah is the head of all the 12 sons. We got to get into this, man, and we're going to get into it real deep, man. And I ain't going to try to keep you guys too long, man, but I just wanted to break something down, man, because people don't understand where this Christianity got implemented on our people during slavery. If you look at how Jerusalem spelled, USA is in the middle. Yes, us is in the middle. I respect that, brother. But we got to get into it. And it says, there you shall see it no more again. And there you shall be sold unto your enemies, for bondmen and bondwomen. Even though we went against the Arabs and the sub-Saharan slave trade, and they sold us throughout the whole entire earth, we still had Jerusalem. We still had Jerusalem. It wasn't until 70 AD when we got kicked out of Jerusalem, ran to the west coast of so-called Africa, and sold into the transatlantic slave ship. That was the whole epitome right there. That was the epitome right there of who the slaves really was, because they rounded up. We blended in, but we had no home. At the end of the day, we might have looked like them, but we had nowhere to go. It's just like when you get kicked out of your house and you got nowhere to go, you're homeless. So they know, oh, he homeless. He ain't got nowhere to go. He's not from around here. Who is that cat right there? Who is him? He's not one of us. Because we blended in, man, we got to understand something. And I'm finna get into it. I'm finna get into the historical facts of who we are. I'm finna go to the Christianity and the civil rights. I mean, not civil rights, but I'm finna go into Christianity and the Civil War. I'm finna get into that, man. I'm trying to help you understand something, man. Because since ain't nobody taught you in these school systems the right way, I'm going to try my best to help you, man. Just bear with me, man. Because like I said, I work all these phones, man. And I want you to understand the truth. I want you to understand the truth about the world that we're living in, man. Because these Caucasians will not teach the children. They care less about teaching their children the truth, man. Give me 1 second. There you go. Now we're going to get into it. It says, during the Civil War, a chaplain. Hold on. Matter of fact, let me get into it. I just want to bring out some real historical evidence for y'all, man, because y'all got to get into it, man. You can always look into it, but I do the research and the studying for you. Abraham Lincoln was the first president to be phrased, the nation under God, but he never got into a church. Understand, all these slaves that was in America at the time of the civil rights. Now, matter of fact, we're going to get into the Civil War. The Civil War. Why did the Civil War take place? Because the Caucasian Christians and the Negro, not the Negro, but the northern Caucasian Christians and the southern Caucasian Christians who wanted to keep slavery. The southern wanted to keep slavery. The northern didn't. That's why they had the Civil War, because they saw it was inhumane for the Most High to set up a world like this and us for them to keep people enslaved. So the southern Caucasians wanted to keep slavery going. Now we got to understand something. These Negroes were not Christians. They wasn't Christians until after they got out of, until after the Civil War. Some of them adopted. Look at Nat Turner. Nat Turner went on a revolt. He adopted the Christianity, but when he got into it, he saw that the Most High used him to revolt up against these Caucasians. But we got to understand something. Who were the slaves before they were free in 1965? Who were they before they adopted this religion? Who were they? That's the whole kicker, man. We got to understand our nationality. We got to go back to our roots. Everybody say, man, go back to your roots. Go back to your roots. That's what I'm trying to elaborate on, people. What is our roots? What are our roots? Because these Caucasians lack the truth about who we were as a people. Now, let me get into it. Give me 1 second. I got to pull up the secret religion of slaves. Now, In the eve of the Civil War, the Christianity had pervaded, and hold on. By the eve of the Civil War, Christianity had pervaded the slave community. Not all slaves were Christians, nor were all those who accepted Christianity members of a church. But the doctrine, symbols, and visions of life preached by Christianity were familiar to most. It was familiar to most because they knew about it from where they come from. It was familiar to most because what was preached in their church during Christianity is the same thing that came from our nation. It's about who we were. But we don't understand English. We never understood English. Remember, that was a language that was beat into us. When you get into Deuteronomy 28, 49, 50, it tells you, a nation, there should come a nation upon you from one end of the earth whose tongue you shall not understand. This nation that got put up on the children of Israel during the transatlantic slave trade had a whole different tongue we did not understand. So when they brought our ancestors over here and sold us on auction blocks throughout the whole entire earth, who were these people that were being sold? In 2017, they're comfortable. They're comfortable being African American because their mind can't go that deep back in time. And that's an understandable practice I can understand. But you got to remember something. By the eve of the Civil War, Christianity had pervaded the slave community. That means it went into the slave community. I mean, the slaves were adopted into that religion, a religion, just like Muslim is a religion, just like Presbyterian is a religion, Mormon is a religion, Jehovah's Witness is a religion, Buddhism, Hinduism, all that, Catholic is a religion. We got to understand who were these peoples on this slave ship that were being sold throughout auction blocks throughout the whole entire earth. Because guess what? The so-called Jewish people, the Khazars, funded the slave ships. They sold us throughout the whole entire earth. They sold us. They got rich. They became the Zionists today. The Zionists who run your banking system. The Zionist cartel who own your banking system, who own America. That's why America is broke, man. I want my people to understand in 2017 who you truly are. Who you truly are. If no one ever tell you, I'm going to tell you, you a child of Jacob, man. The Most High loves you, man. But at the end of the day, it's up to you to dig deep within you to pull that spirit out. Now, I want everybody to understand something. By the eve of the Civil War, what was the Civil War about? It was about you and your ancestors and who you are. It was about them trying to keep you in bondage, not letting you go. So what they did was when they got defeated in the Civil War, they came up with a 13th Amendment, the preamble to the Constitution. What they did was they so-called freed you, but they criminalized you. There was no way for you to come up off that. Every last one of us got felonies. You know why? Because it was a ploy. It was a plan designed to keep us down, man, because we can't do nothing in America because this is not our land. This is not where we come from. Now, everybody got to understand something. Where did this Christianity come from that got implemented on these slaves? Because first, how can you be a Christian? And two, how can you be an African American? See, we got to understand that breakdown of what that means. 1988, Jesse Jackson told everybody to call us African American. You got to understand something. When they came over here and colonized and took the land from the natives and started colonizing on it, it had no name. So who was America named after? Wasn't it not named after Leo Schiffer Africanus? Not Africana, but America Vespucci? Because these Caucasians like to keep things, name everything after themselves. But we're going to get into that. Now, you got to understand something. Who were you before you got off those slave ships? Before you got off of them. So before you got rounded up, where did you come from? See, we got to understand that, man. We got to understand that wholeheartedly. We got to break that all the way down because people don't like to believe the scriptures. And I'm not even finna play with you with scripture today, man. I'm finna give you some real historical facts. Now, we're going to get into it. The eve of the civil rights. The eve of the Civil War. Christianity had prevailed the slave community, had pervaded the slave community. Not all slaves were Christians. Who were these slaves that were not Christians? Who were they? I'll tell you. They was they was from the children, they were from the tribe of Jacob, man. They were from the sons of Jacob, man. They were Israelites, man. And it says, not all slaves were Christians, nor were all those who accepted Christianity members of a church. Because they had no church. If you look at Goodbye Uncle Tom, the movie Goodbye Uncle Tom, you can see the difference between how the Caucasians did their thing in their church and how they looked at us. We were commodity, we were property, we was nothing to them. And that's the whole point I want you to understand, man, because you're going to continue to be nothing until you wake up and realize you're a child of the Most High, man. And in order for you to do that, you got to come back to your nationality and realize who your ancestors was. See, you want to sit back and get happy and want to kiss the master's hand, but at the end of the day, you got to understand something. How did they become successful? How they become rich? On the backs of the slave trade, on the backs of our people. And our people are so caught up in the glitz and glamours of the world because they've been smitten with madness that they can't understand the truth about the world that we're living in. Now we got to come back to the truth about who we are. I like to do studying. I like to do research. I want to tell people exactly who they are. If no one will ever tell you, if no pastor will tell you, I'm going to tell you. If one of these schools won't tell you, I'm going to tell you. Because our people lack the common decency, because after you were free out of the 1968 slave plantation in 67, you were free. They gave you the right to read and write. But how can you understand a language that is not of your own? How can you understand a language that is not of your own? You can't. You got to adopt their customs, adopt their ways. So who were these slaves that got off the slave ship? I'm going to tell you. By the eve of the Civil War, Christianity had pervaded the slave community. Not all slaves were Christians, nor were all those who accepted Christianity members of the church. But the doctrines, symbols, and visions of life preached by Christianity were familiar to most because of the slave masters. It was familiar to most. Now, the religion of the slaves was both visible and invisible. The religion of the slaves was both visible and invisible. Formerly organized and spontaneous adopted. Regular Sunday worship in the local church was paralleled by illicit or at least informal prayer meetings and license. I'm coming out and I heard a minister some text in the Bible, which it said texts from the Bible, which most slaves could not read. Texts from the Bible, which most slaves could not read. So who was the Bible speaking about when these slave masters had it? Who was the Bible speaking about? Was it not talking about the slaves they had in their custody? But see, you didn't understand that because we were slaves. We couldn't read and write. We couldn't understand diction. We couldn't understand English, a language that is not of our own. We got to wake up one day and realize who we are before we leave this world, man. And nobody's going to help you. So I'm going to try my best. And it said right here, it said, text from the Bible, which most slaves could not read, were implicated by verses from the spirituals. Slaves forbidden by masters to attend church, or in some cases even to pray. Risk flogging to attend secret gatherings to worship God. It says his own experience in the invisible institution was recalled by former slaves Wash Wilson. It says when these niggers go around singing "Steal Away to Jesus," don't mean they're gonna be a religious meeting that night. The masters didn't like them illegals meetings, so us naturally slipped off at night down in the bottom or somewhere, sometimes using singing the prayer in the midnight. But see, we got to understand some slaves frequently were moved to hold their own religious meetings out of disgust from the visited gospel preached by their masters' gospel preachers. Now we got to understand the difference between who we was as a nation and who these slave master was on top of us in slavery. Because it wasn't until the 1860s. I ain't even gonna call it 1860s. I'm saying to the 1860s, before the Civil War. Who were these slaves that got off the ships? These Caucasians would not tell you because they said, oh, you come from Africa. Go back to Africa. What part of Africa do we come from? What part? Because what I know, Jerusalem is over there in that continent, but it's not a part of Africa. Egypt is over there in that region, but it's not a part of Africa. You see what I'm saying? Saudi is in that region, but it's not a part of Africa. You got Europe on the upper top. You got Asia over there. But what I'm trying to say is, who were these slaves when they got off the slave ships? Because the pastors in these churches lack the common decency to tell you the truth about who your ancestors were, because they lack the understanding. They don't want to dig deep into the historical aspect of all this. It says slaves face several punishment if caught attending secret prayer meetings. If they got caught attending secret prayer meetings, they would be murdered, man. They wasn't allowed to read the Bible. You know why? Because the Bible was about them. It was about them. But these Caucasians will have you believe that the Bible was fit for them. But they rewarped it through the Council of Nicaea, through the Roman Catholic Church. They rewarped it to fit their ideology. They rewarped it to fit their world, their ways, and their customs. While our people sitting out here still thinking they're Negroes. They're still thinking they're Negroes. Now I'm finna get into a scripture. Deuteronomy, the curses that were placed upon the children of Israel. It says right here in Deuteronomy 28, 64. Let me go down to 64. Give me 1 second. Deuteronomy 28:64. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people, from one end of the earth even until the other, and thou shalt serve other gods. Now understand this. This was given unto Moses after he got out of the land of Egypt, after they left Egypt, after he was on Mount Sinai. After he was on Mount Sinai, he came out of Mount Sinai. Most High told him what was going to happen to him. Told him they were going to go back into Egypt again by way of ships, right? Okay, if you're going into Egypt again on ships, Saudi Arabia, you don't need ships to get there. If I'm not mistaken, the Mediterranean Sea passed right through there, but at the end of the day, you don't need ships to go back that way because it didn't take you back that way. The sub-Saharan slave trade took you to a whole different region. The transatlantic slave trade took you to a whole different region. So when we get into the aspect of understanding who we were when we got into the transatlantic slave trade, because if the transatlantic slave trade never took place, where would the children of Israel be today? Where would the children of Jacob be right now if it never took place? Since it took place, America became a superpower. How? On the backs of who? Who helped build up America? See, we got to understand that, man. We got to get into the curses, man, that were placed upon the children of Israel. It says in the 48th verse, therefore shall thy serve thy enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness. Do we not want for everything according to these to the governmental rule that's on top of the children of Israel today? Because people so caught up in this Christianity, they don't understand there's a difference between our nation as a people and Christianity as a religion. You take away the Christianity that was implemented on the slaves in the slave plantation when they were freed during the Civil War. When you take away that, who are these people? If you say we come from a continent, then what part of that continent do we come from? They tell you that they control Jerusalem today, but it wasn't until 1947. 1947, when the UN allowed the Khazars to go over there and take Palestine from the Palestinians, who were actually a mixture of the Sephardic and the Ashkenazic Jews. See, people don't understand history, man. And that's what I like to tell people. When I was going to school, man, I didn't understand history either until I got out of it. When I got out of it, I looked at the world as a whole like, damn, it's a lot going on. But when I got into the biblical aspect of it and the historical aspect, it started to make sense. When they pointed out to me that, you know what, you're an Israelite. I didn't understand what an Israelite was until I looked deeper into it. Israelite is a nationality because it's in the scriptures. Where do you get the word Israelite from? It comes from Jacob in the Bible when it tells you he wrestled with an angel. When he wrestled with that angel all the way through that night to the break of day, the angel called him Israel. All his children will be descendants of that covenant that was given unto him through the Most High. Now, you got to understand something. All these nations, the Most High deals with nations. Nations, nations, nations. He does not deal with a religion. A religion is not a nationality. If you look at the whole world as a whole, all these nations got rich off the back of the children of Israel. Not just the children of Israel, because once they sold us throughout the whole entire earth, they started selling our Hamites. They started selling our Africans. So they tell you African American because we look alike. We don't look alike. Our spirit is not like their spirit. Our nation is not their nation. Our history is not their history. Our laws does not belong to those Khazars in Jerusalem today. It was stolen in 740 AD. And I like to tell people everything 100% true. Even though during the sub-Saharan slave trade, they enslaved every ethnicity they could. And you can do the research, man. Nobody will help you understand it unless you help yourself understand it. Every ethnicity did the Arabians sell, but over time, they limited it down to just Africans, so-called Hamites. Well, not so-called because they are Hamites. They limited it to just those. Ethiopians are not our people. Ethiopia is in the Bible. Even though Amos 9:7 said, "Oh, ye children of Ethiopia, are you not like children of Israel?" Even though we look alike and we all come from the same Noah, Ham, Shem, and Japheth line, but we're nothing alike when it's according to nations. The Most High deals directly with us according to nations, nations, nations. He said to Rebekah, there are two nations in thy womb. He didn't say nothing about there was two religions in thy womb. He told Abraham, as for Ishmael, I will make him a great nation. I will multiply him abundantly. Kings and princes shall come of thee. I will give him, he will be a wild man. He will be against all his brethren. He will be intermingled with all his brethren. But at the end of the day, we don't understand that because can't nobody help us, and we trying to dictate and want to fight and bicker and debate. But I don't do that. I'm telling you, who were these children that got off those slave ships that was sold unto their enemies? Deuteronomy 28:6-8. And the Lord shall bring thee to Egypt again by way of ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again. And there you shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen. No man shall buy you. You know what I mean? If you're already being sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, when it said no man shall buy you, no man will free you from this curse that has been placed upon the children of Israel. Now, how can we understand that? They're not giving you that in the churches. They're not breaking it down. You know why? Because they're loving your prosperity blessings that you're giving them. Because it was implemented to them in slavery. It was implemented to them in slavery. You got these T.D. Jakes in these churches. Now, let me show y'all a picture, man. Let me show y'all something. I hope y'all can see it, man, because we got to understand this, man. It's the Romans who implemented this democracy on top of us, man. The Romans that implemented this democracy. When they implemented this democracy on top of us, our people had no knowledge of what was going on around the world. You know why? Because our people were in bondage. Our people were being sold throughout the whole entire earth. And it's crazy, man. It's crazy because nobody's helping them understand it. What's up? Huh? Oh, all right. But like I was saying, it's crazy because no one's trying to help them understand it. Now we're going to get into it. And it says, Isaiah. It says, Luke 21:24. Therefore, my people are gone into captivity because they have no knowledge. And they, Israel, shall fall by the edge of the sword and shall be led captive unto all nations. Over here in America, are we not among all nations? Are we not scattered among all nations around the face of the earth? Even in, it said Luke 21:24. And they, Israel, shall fall by the edge of the sword and shall be led away captive to all nations. Therefore, my people are gone into captivity because they have no knowledge. Isaiah 5:13. It's crazy because we have no understanding. I really can't show it because I'm outside doing my thing, but I was just showing you a picture. All my pictures probably won't come out a little bit perfect, but I want you to understand something. When you get into the understanding of who you are, when you get into the understanding, let me see if I go into the shade. Now, Christianity versus Catholicism. Y'all see that picture right there? I just went into it, which I'm going to go back to. During the Civil War. I'm going to go back to it. Give me 1 second. I'm going to go back to it so I can help you understand the breakdown of this religious practice that's been going on around the world. And nobody's trying to help you understand it. So I'm just standing up for my nation, man. The best way I know how, man. Because like I tell people, it's bigger than me. It's bigger than me. It's bigger than me, man. It's about my nation that has been lost, scattered, and divided for far too long now. The picture I just showed you was T.D. Jake and a Roman Catholic Pope. Both of them under the Roman Catholic 501c3 charter. Now we get into it. By the eve of the Civil War, Christianity had pervaded the slave community. Was this man not born in America? So he came from descendants of slaves. Now 9 out of 10 times, if your dad's dad come off the slave ships or can go back and trace their roots to slavery, 9 out of 10 times they come from the tribe of Jacob. Because the last tribe that was held away captive was Judah, Benjamin, and the Levite priests. We got to understand that, man, because like I say, man, the Assyrian captivity came through and pushed everybody westward. I mean, wherever they went, mainly westward. Because when they came over here, these Indians, so-called Indians, that's what they called them. They were red people. We are their people. They are our people. But which son they come from is left to be explained because the Spirit bear witness with like-minded spirits. Now, by the eve of the Civil War, Christianity had pervaded the slave community. Not all slaves were Christians. Why is it in 2017 everybody a freaking Christian? Because they want you to be just like them. You will be going whoring after their gods, after their religions, after their ways. You will be caught up in their understanding. You can't get caught up in your own understanding because they're teaching you according to what they want you to believe. Now, by the eve of the Civil War, Christianity had pervaded the slave community. Not all slaves were Christians. Not were all those who accepted Christianity members of a church. Now, were all those who accepted Christianity members of a church? Remember, they had Presbyterians, they had Mormons, they had Catholics, but everybody that was on a slave plantation was up under a Christian doctrine, up under a Caucasian Christian doctrine. These Caucasians will not help you understand that because they'll keep you hidden. You got to understand something. We're hidden, man. When you go to Psalms 8:3, it says they have taken crafty counsel against thy hidden ones. Hidden ones, man. Like I tell people, but this is coming straight out of my brain, man, because I am filled up with knowledge, man. And I love to give it to y'all, man, because it's all I have. It says, not all slaves were Christians, nor were all those who accepted Christianity. And you got to understand where Christianity come from. The Council of Nicaea. We got to understand Constantine. Who was Constantine? Who was he? Who was Constantine? Constantine was the man that went on the Inquisition to erase the Messiah and all his teachings. You know why he did that? Because he didn't want the whole world to know nothing about the Messiah, just like today. Nobody believed the Messiah exists. You know why? Because you have no understanding. Your history, heritage, and culture has been erased. All you have are pictures of a homosexual man named Caesar Borgia. That's it. And nobody will help you understand that because we're too caught debating instead of trying to wake up the children of Israel. When the Messiah came, he said, I was looking for the lost, scattered sheep of Israel. You know why he said that? Because he was looking for a nation of people, not a religion, not a religious practice. Because the Pharisee Jews were allowing all other nations to partake in the law, statutes, commandments that was given unto the children of Israel. Now, during slavery, not all slaves were Christians, nor were those who accepted Christianity members of a church. The religion of the slaves, both invisible and invisible, formally organized, spontaneous, adopted, regular Sunday worship in a local church. Now I'm going to skip down. It says, slaves forbidden by masters to attend church or in some cases even pray. Risk flogging to attend secret gatherings to worship God. Now it was a brother last night. It was a brother of mine last night. He hit me up. He said, he asked me to break down something for him. And I'm gonna pull it up for you guys, man, because I like to help you guys understand this just like I'm understanding it too, because it's a difference between the slaves that came off those ships and these Negroes today. Because the generation has went on that the folks have went so far away from their faith that they don't believe that they're the children of Israel because they've been so adopted in this Christianity that they can't understand the difference between a nationality and a religion. But these Caucasians will have you believe, that you are just like them, that you come from them when in reality they come from you. Because only a black woman can produce every single race of people on the face of the earth, and that is scientifically proven. Scientifically proven. Now I'm finna get into something real quick. I'm gonna see if I can break it down for y'all, man, the best way I know how, man, because everybody can't do this, man. My brother said, Deuteronomy 30:19, and when y'all said, I call this day in heaven and earth against you, that I have set before you life and death. I have set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Therefore, choose life, so you and your seed shall be blessed. He said, was that a command, or do we have free will to choose? You got to understand something. When the children of Israel were given the law, statutes, and commandments, the Most High gave them strict laws. Choose it or don't. Because if you don't, I will send you into Egypt again by way of ships. You will not see your homeland ever again. And this goes for all of you. If you choose to go off the law, statutes, and commandments and not humble yourself and come back to the law, statutes, and commandments, then that's on you. But I want the people to understand something. When them slaves got off those ships, who were they? Where did they come from? Because they tell you you come from Africa. That is a blatant lie. Because even though folks don't believe that it comes after the last name of Scariff Africanus, it was a dude that wanted to battle me, and he a Kemet dude and want to keep debating. I say, dude, I don't debate. And if you watch my feed, Morpheus Samuels, dude, I'm not a Kemet, man. I don't care about that, man. Africa was surnamed after the white man, Leo Scariff Africanus, who took over the continent after he defeated Hannibal in the Second Punic War. Remember the Renaissance period when they whitewashed what once was, man. We got to understand who we are, man. At the end of the day, I don't care where you get the name Africa from. We're not Egyptians. We're not Kemet. If they want to claim Kemet, I don't know what Kemet is. Kemet's not in the Bible. I don't stick with no Kemet. If Kemet was that important, it would be in the scriptures. It's not that important. And we got to understand something. Why do you think Christianity is in the Bible? They call Christians. We're not Christian. Christian just mean good fellow. I mean, poor fellow. But at the end of the day, we got to understand something. Why are the Ethiopians in the Bible? Why is Jerusalem in the Bible? If that's in the Bible, then guess what? Everything else is in the Bible. You see what I'm saying? Everything is on the face of the earth. Jerusalem is a real place. Egypt is a real place. Ethiopia is a real people and a real place. We got to understand that, man. Everybody don't get into it because we're so far over here in America. We're not over there in that dry desert. We're not over there in that continent. We're not. And when we get into Deuteronomy 30:19, it said, Yah said, I call this day in heaven and in earth. This is when he gave the law, statute, commandments, telling you, look, I call this day in heaven and earth against you, that I have set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Therefore, choose life, because who give it to it? The living fountain, the living water. We got to understand who the Most High is. He is the living God of all earth, heaven and earth. You can't live without him. The breath in your body, he gave you that just so you can breathe. But people can't understand that because can't nobody get into it, the 100% of it. And that's what I try to tell people, man. I love y'all enough to show you the difference between who those cats was that got off the slave ships and who you are today. You're from the same line. Only difference is you believe in a religion over your nationality. You believe in you come from 1988, Jesse Jackson phrase, Negro. No, you come from Jesse Jackson 1988 phrase, African American. When you're no longer African American, you are a Hebrew Israelite, man. Hebrew by faith because you believe in the one God. But everybody want to go to church on Sunday. Where am I at? Outside. And what day it is? Sunday. What am I doing? Telling you who you are. Telling you the law, statutes, commandments that was given on you through Moses belong to you. Not those Caucasians, not those Khazarians who converted in 740 AD and wrote the Torah and want to follow our nationality. We got to understand something. The Most High deals with nations. He don't deal with religion. I don't care if Islam, these Muslims have become a stronger religion on the face of the earth. Their nation is not the nation that is on top of the children of Israel. And I tell y'all that to say this, man, because we got to know who they was when they got off those slave ships. All the movies that they make, they tell you. But our people are too ignorant and don't want to wake up, and they want so busy bickering. I don't do that. See, I'm going to get into something else. 2 Corinthians 11:2. It says, for I am jealous for you with the godly jealousy. For I betrothed you to one husband. Meaning, I chose you as a wife to Moses in these laws. As a nation of people unto the Most High God. You became betrothed to me this day. I will give you blessings and curses. That if you go along with my law, statutes, and commandments, you will not have to flee. You will not have to lose the land that I've given you. The promised land that I give to you. The promised land that he gave the children of Israel. But see, we don't understand it because nobody's helping us break that down and nobody's helping us understand it. And the crazy part about it is when you got guys like me that do the research and that do the study and that actually read historical evidence, you still don't believe it. But what is that going to give you? It's going to give you a sense of peace. It's going to help you show these Caucasians they are nothing. They're inferior. We're superior. But at the end of the day, we got to own up and claim that. And our only way to do that is to wake up and realize who we are according to scriptures. And it says, 2 Corinthians 11:2. For I am a jealousy for you with a godly jealousy. For I betroth you to one husband, so that to Christ I might present you as a virgin. He knew the Messiah was going to come. When the Messiah came down here, was the lost scattered sheep of Israel already not dispersed between all the other nations, being Hellenized, being caught up in their ways in the world, doing whatever they want to do? So when he looked for the lost sheep of Israel, he was bringing them back to bid them to the marriage. But people can't understand that because they don't understand the marriage that the Most High set up that was given to Moses for the children of Israel. Now, when we get into it a little deeper, people can't wake up, so I'm finna break it down to you. You got to understand something. It's different. It's different for the ways of the world then than it is now. It says the Most High is a jealous God, but has a godly jealousy, which is righteous according to his will, due to his laws he gave to us. When it says, I betrothed you to one husband. To one husband, it will refer to when the children of Jacob got the laws through Moses and became married to Moses and the laws through Yah, through the Most High Creator of heaven and earth. Can't nobody break it down like that, man. Ain't nobody gonna try to. These pastors in these churches ain't gonna try to break it down the right way. And it says, this was before Christ even came. So when it said that, and it said, so when it say, so that to Christ I might present you a pure virgin. When the Messiah came, he was looking for the lost scattered sheep of Israel who have strayed away from the laws and were virgins to the truth about the Most High. You see what I'm saying? It's different. There's nobody gonna help you understand it. And my thing is, who were we when we got off those slave ships? Who were we? Who were we? That's the kicker. Are we this? This is not us, are we? We're Roman. We're Catholic. We're Christians, Presbyterians. We're Mormons. Who are we then? Who are we? As a nation of people that lost, scattered, and divided. And I'm going to get into the scripture, man, so y'all can understand it a little bit better, man. I want y'all to really get into it with me, man. And everybody can't do it because everybody that's doing it, not doing it with a humbling spirit. When I say humbling, I mean you got to call out to all the people, all on the whole corners of the earth, all planets on the earth. And we get into it, Deuteronomy 28. Give me 1 second. Deuteronomy 28:64. It says 64, and the Lord shall scatter thee among all people, from one end of the earth, even until the other. Are we not on the other end of the earth? Are we not on the other end of the earth? And there shall serve other gods. Other gods. What are y'all serving in America, man? Y'all, these people falling behind idols, man. People. They have become lovers of self. Vain. Blasphemers. You see what I'm saying? They have become lovers of self. Vain. They don't care about nobody. They're over here worshiping other gods. And that's the thing, man. I want you to understand something. When you was in these slave ships, man, when they had put the, matter of fact, let me read the scripture for you. Deuteronomy 28:48. Deuteronomy 28:48. There shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness, and in wants of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until they have destroyed thee. You know, when you become destroyed as a nation of people, you start following the custom and the ways of these Caucasians that's on top of you today, and you blend in and you be fitted with them. But in slavery, they looked at you as nothing. Look at you as nothing. You couldn't even join their Christianity. Even if you were caught reading the Bible, praying, they will flog you. They will beat you, man. So it wasn't until the Civil War when they freed you, because the northern so-called Caucasian Christians and the southern Caucasian Christians was warring because they wanted to let the children of Israel go. But guess what they did when they let you go? They wrote a 13th Amendment to criminalize you. That's why you're so filled in the prison systems. And I say you because I was one of them. I had to live in the ways that were becoming the ways of the world so I can understand it. Nobody's helping us understand this, man. Deuteronomy 28:48. And it said, and they shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck till they have destroyed thee. To be destroyed as a people, meaning mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and sexually. All these cats over here want to be sodomites now. They don't know what they want to be because they falling behind other gods, man. Over here in America, you have religious freedom to follow whatever different god you want to. Every different god you want to. You got religious freedom to follow behind any nation. You thinking you Buddhism, want to follow behind Namaste. You can't understand that, man, because when you get into Deuteronomy 6:28, 6:8, and it says, the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again by way of ships. What's up, my brother? By the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. There ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen. You name every place in New York, Virginia, Michigan, that they sold us throughout the whole entire earth, man. They sold it throughout the whole entire United States of America. Everyone got fat, filthy, rich off the backs of our people. And our people want to sit back and claim to be Christians. How can you sit back and claim a Christianity in which they inflicted so much pain on your people? So much pain on your people. So much pain. Now, you got these Negroes. It kills me when I see these Negroes defending Donald Trump, but he claiming to be a black Muslim. How can you be a black Muslim when you don't even understand history? When you go back to the sub-Saharan slave trade, they were those Muslims who sold you into all the earth. They captured you and sold you throughout the whole earth. They did too. But it wasn't until you got into the transatlantic slave trade when the whole nation of Israel was over and done with. The Most High put an end to you. Put a complete and utter end to you. There was no way to come up out of it because the Most High was pissed off at the whole nation. He deals with nations. Not religion, religion, religion. But we got to understand who these people were that got off the slave ship. Who were they? Who were they? Were they the children of Jacob? Were they the children of Jacob? Or were they not the children of Jacob? That's the thing. Since you want to sit back and claim to be an Israelite, since you want to sit back and claim to be a Christian and can't hold on to your nationality, then you lose everything that was given to you. You're not trying to humble yourself and come back like what it is. 2 Corinthians 11, 13, 15, I think. It said, Second Chronicles 7 to 14 verse. I ain't trying to be mistaken, but it said, if my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and seek my face, and then will I hear from heaven and heal their land. We can't get to Jerusalem because it's so desolate now. They got a pink city over there called Tel Aviv where they're being homosexual and 6 sodomites. But our people so caught up in doing whatever they want to do in America that they can't understand who they truly are. Even though you don't know what son you come from. You don't know what son you come from. The Spirit bear witness with like-minded spirits. When you choose to stand up and realize you come from the tribe of Jacob, when you come from the sons of Jacob, when you realize, that's why I subscribe to the One West chart in New York. But at the end of the day, I know the difference between coming from a son and understanding who you are in 2017. It's not easy, but it's not hard at the same time. Because it's simple if you're waking up to reality of the ways of the world. And these Caucasians will not tell you. They want you to stay dumbed down and docile. The Zionist organization has become one of the richest organizations in the world off the back of the slave trade. They fund both sides of the war. Don't matter who's at war. They always will be on top because they funding it. People overlook the European monarch is still on top of America. Where are the children of Jacob? They so scattered, caught up, wanting to be Christians. But like I say, I'm going to go back to that article again. I'm going to read that article one more time. It says, by the eve of the Civil War, Christianity had pervaded the slave community. Not all slaves were Christians. So who were they? Who were they? If they weren't Christians, who were they? By the eve of the Civil War, before the 1860s, not all the slaves were Christians. Who were they? Nor were all those who accepted Christianity members of a church. So if you converted from your nationality over to a religion and chose to follow their ways, even though you chose to become a Christian in Christianity, you still wasn't a member of no church. You had to get that Roman decree when you were free that it was allowed to you to build a church. But they got stipulations on it. You can't preach against the government. Preach against homosexuality. You can't preach against nothing that is an abomination to the Most High God. You know why? Because they're keeping this in lock. Keeping you dumbed down and docile. But at the end of the day, we are a people. We are a nation. In order for us to wake up and come back to that, we got to realize the difference between the slaves that got off those ships and Christianity. Because we're a nation of people. We're a nation that's holy, man. And I'm going to get into that scripture real quick, man. Let me get into that scripture real quick. Deuteronomy, 7th chapter. And I'm going to leave y'all with this real quick. Deuteronomy, 7th chapter, 6th verse. You can go to Deuteronomy 7th chapter, 6th verse, or 14th chapter, 2nd verse. And it's crazy because people don't read the Bible. I know it's a hard book to read because they turn it into a novel. Something that's really hard to read. 14:2. I'm going to get in 14:2. I'm going to get in Deuteronomy 14:2. For thou art a holy people unto the Lord thy God, and the Lord hath chosen thee to be a peculiar people, a very special treasure, a nation, not a religion, unto himself, above all the nations that are upon the face of the earth. You know why I say above all nations? It didn't say nothing about all religions. Now we get in Deuteronomy 28. We get in Deuteronomy 28 again. I'm going to go back to Deuteronomy 28 again. And I'm going to show you something. It said, you are a holy people among all nations, above all nations. And then I'm going to go down to Deuteronomy 28:64. Deuteronomy 28:64. And it says right here, and the Lord shall scatter thee among all people from one end of the earth, even unto the other, and thou shalt serve other gods, which neither nor thy father have known, even wood of stone, Among these nations shalt thou find no ease, neither shall the sole of the feet have no rest. And the Lord shall give thee a trembling heart, and a failing of eyes, and sorrow of mind, weakness of the mind, weakness of the mind. And we're going to get back over here to Deuteronomy, 7th chapter, 6th verse. And it's not hard when you line these scriptures up, because they make perfect sense 2017 for the children of Israel to wake up and realize who they are. And it's not hard because it's simple. It said Deuteronomy 7th chapter, 6th verse. For thou art a holy people unto the Lord thy God. A holy nation of people, not a religion. Not a religion. Way before Constantine went on his Inquisition to do away with the world. Way before the Knights of Templar went on their Inquisition. Way before the Messiah even came. For thou art a holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord had chosen thee. The Lord God had chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth. You know why he chose us to be a special people upon all the face of the earth? Because we are better than them. We're stronger than them. We're wiser than them. We're smarter than them. The children that's growing up now have so much life in them because they have a spirit within that these Caucasians lack. And it's the reason why I continue to attack these Caucasians, because the slave trade, it took place all because of the Most High giving us over to them. Because our forefathers going on lost statutes and commandments, and they lied to you, telling you you are African American, telling you you are black, telling you you are Negro. That is what they labeled the commodity, a Negro. Even they named some of them Hebrews, because those from descendants of Abraham are so-called Africans. We got to understand something. Abraham became the father of many nations. Many nations. Jacob was the father of the Israelites. Those are his seeds. This, you got to understand, understanding is for all those who seek it, man. I wrote a book because it's designed for the children of Israel, not for the whole entire world. I'm not here for the whole entire world. I'm only here for the children of Jacob, man. Until you wake up and realize that in slavery, and this comes from an article called The Secret Religion of Slaves. The Secret Religions of Slaves. By the eve of the Civil War, Christianity had pervaded the slave community. What is Christianity? It's a religion. So how could it pervade the slave communities if the slaves were never even Christians? If they were Christians, they would never have to pervade the slave community, because they had to adopt that way of life. They had to adopt that doctrine. They had to adopt that false ideology of what was told to them by these Caucasians. Our people would never understand that, because our people don't hearken to the voice of the wise, man. A man like me that understand everything about the world, people will not hearken to the understanding because they don't understand it. They don't care. And that's the thing. I'm trying to help teach the children. The children need to know their nationality. Your children growing up running to the street because they don't believe in no Christianity. They don't even believe a God exists, because we're not teaching them according to the law, statutes, and commandments. I understand it might be hopeless for some people, because some people can't gravitate to it. They can't gravitate to it. But you got to understand, it's the reason why I continue doing what I'm doing, even when my mind feels sorrow, my heart feels sorrow, because I feel like it's hopeless, it's pointless. But my people need to get it. You never know when your end day is. You never know when your end day is. You never know when you leave this earth. You will never know when you depart. You never know when it's time for you to decease from this earth. So it's time to wake up and make amends with the one who gave you the law, statutes, and commandments, not no man-made laws. Because if man-made laws were better than the Most High laws, why do these Caucasians continue to write laws that override laws that override laws? They keep putting the thumb and the finger on your back. They keep you down, because they want you down. But see, you got to understand something. All these mega church pastors, all these pastors in each church that claiming to be a Christian. Remember, Christianity is a religion. The Most High does not deal with a religion. He deals with a nation of people that choose to go far away from it. I believe in God. I believe in the Bible. I believe in everything in it. You don't read it. You don't read it. But I believe in it. How can you believe in something you don't read? Well, I got faith. No, you don't, because you've been so far removed from the Most High. It's pathetic. You forgetting everything your ancestors went through. You have failed your ancestors. When I say you failed your ancestors, because you haven't even thought about who they were. You content with that name, African American. But before 1988, who were you? Who were you before 1988? That was just yesterday. That was just yesterday. Before 1988, who were you? Who were you? Before 1988, who were you? You were labored Negroes. Before the eve of the Civil War, Christianity had pervaded the slave community. Not all slaves was Christians. Nor were those accepted Christianity members of a church. So who were you when your ancestors got off those slave ships? We come from Egypt. No, we don't. The Egyptians do not claim you. You know why? Because Exodus 11:7 tells you, against the children of Israel shall not a dog move his tongue, neither man nor beast, because the Lord thy God hath put a difference between the Egyptians and the children of Israel. When Jacob laid the children of Israel down to Egypt, the Most High was going to strengthen us and make us a great nation, not a strong religion. Not a strong religion. But you get caught up not knowing the difference between nationality and religion. If you want to understand the difference between nationality, come on home, man. Somebody like me will break it down to you because I'm doing it with a righteous intent. I don't want nobody to understand the lies that have been inflicted on our people, man, for far too long, man. I do too much studying, man, and not for my people to get it, man. I'm going to keep telling y'all the truth until my last breath, man. I'm going to keep showing y'all who y'all are, man. It's the reason why I was born in 81, man. It's the reason why I know all that I know. It's the reason why I continue to Google and continue to read. It's the reason why I continue to have understanding. Because our children are destroyed by lack of knowledge. They so content with a selfie world. They so content wanting to record fights. They so content wanting to twerk. They so content thinking Sunday service is going to save them in the end. But how can a Sunday service save you in the end when during the eve of the civil, they say before, matter of fact, let me rephrase that. How can that Sunday service save you? How can that Sunday service save you? If not all slaves were Christians, by the eve of the Civil War, Christianity had pervaded the slave community. Not all slaves were Christians, nor were those who accepted Christianity members of a church. Were they a member of a church? But the doctrines, symbols, and visions of life preached by Christianity were familiar to most. It was familiar because of what their slave masters inflicted on them. They knew about it. But when our ancestors got off those slave ships, we got to understand the mindset of those slaves, man. In their mind, they're like, what did we do? What did we do to have to be inflicted in so much pain? They had to go through so much pain. And these Caucasians want you to sweep that under a rug. God loves everybody. No, he hates your nation. If that was the case, then the Messiah never would have told the Canaanite woman, shall I give crumbs to the dogs? Shall I give my children meat to the dogs? She said, but cannot dogs eat from the master's table? Cannot the dogs eat from the master's table? She knew her place, so he healed her daughter. We don't believe in the Messiah. You know why we don't believe in the Messiah? Because we don't hearken to the voices of the Most High. You know why? Because we don't get into these scriptures. We don't get into this book. This book is a historical book. So Morpheus Samuel, dude, I'm going to tag you in this video. And I don't want to hear no more debating on my page, man, about no Kemet, man. I call you out directly, dude. I get tired of that, man. If you Negroes want to wake up and think you're Egyptians, go to Sudan. Go over to Sudan. If you want to be an Egyptian so bad. If you want to be a Kemet, go over to Jerusalem. Tell them that you used to be over there in Canaan. Tell them before the children of Israel went over there and took Canaan. Took the land of Canaan. Before the children of Israel went over there and took the land of Canaan. You got to understand something. We're a powerful nation if we choose to wake up, connect the head with the tail. But I can't do this by myself, man. I need my people to wake up and realize I'm doing this for us, man. So we won't have to fight in these last days, man. The Most High will move a vehicle that can't nobody drive but him. The Most High will move a vehicle can't nobody get into but him. At the end of the day, we wait on the Messiah, but dog, we got to wake up our nation. You have the IUIC, you have the ISUPK, you have the HOIC, you have the AIC. You have so many guys that separate themselves in camps, man. It's people out here in these streets that's struggling, that need our help. If you teach them and humble yourself and teach them according to the ways of the world and according to the truth about who we are, they can get it. I tell you, I do this for my people for a reason. By the eve of the Civil War, if these cats in these camps would do it, the due diligence of what's been given ahead of them, they can understand it. By the eve of the Civil War, Christianity had pervaded. That's right there. It's self-explanatory. You can go Google an article called The Secret Religion of the Slaves. It tells you We're not Christians. You got to give them that nationality and take that religion away from them so they can wake up. We're stronger in numbers, but we're weaker when we're apart, man. It says, you got a strong one. By your side, my brother. Appreciate it, appreciate it. And it's crazy, man, because our people will never get it, man. You know why? Because we beating them over the head. Now, I won't say we because I don't beat them over the head. I tell them the truth. I don't shun now one of my brothers. If you out there smoking dope, if you out there getting high, if you out there drinking, if you out there turning up, I don't care. I love you, my nigga. Wake up and realize your nationality, man. When you get to the understanding saying, damn, the Most High will guide you away from all of that because you'll start thinking, damn, my forefathers did go through some bullshit. And these Caucasians got us believing we Christians. How the hell we get that Christianity implemented on us in slavery? So when our people came out of slave shit, where did they come from? Galatians 4:26, Jerusalem. Why is Jerusalem in the Bible and it's a place upon the face of the earth if the Bible's not a real historical book? Then if it was a fictitious book, it wouldn't have Egypt, Ethiopians in there. It wouldn't have Jerusalem in there. It wouldn't have Ashkenaz in there, who today people call themselves Ashkenazi Jews. Y'all got to understand this. It wouldn't say in Revelation 2:9, I know thy poverty and tribulations, and I know thy works, but thou art rich. And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews. Who call themselves Jews today if the Bible is not a real historical book, Mr. Morpheus Samuels? It's crazy because y'all like to play games, man. I don't do that, man. I'm not a keyboard cruncher. I don't do this back and forth debating on no computer because this is emotion. This is passion you feeling coming from a man like me. I don't care if Esau is a white man, black man, orange man, green man, blue man. He was one man, but he was a nation. Japheth was the father of the Caucasians. Our father is Abraham. My Most High Father, the God above me right now, is the same God that was above Abraham, who made him a great nation, who gave him princes and sons and kings. Isaac became a king with princes and sons. Jacob became a covenant, a promise that was given unto him through Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But we don't understand it because on a Sunday like this, a beautiful day like this, we're outside and we're not enjoying the spirit. We're not in the spirit because we're in a popularity contest. We want to go to a church. We want to turn a church into a club. That's why the spirit within there, it says Acts 7:4, I bet the Most High dwelleth not in temples made by hand. You know why? Because there's no God in there. There's no God in there. You know why there's no God in there? Because there's no one in there holy. Because the Roman Catholic Church that have you teaching the way you're teaching out of that Bible, you have no understanding. You get into it from Genesis to Revelation, man. You don't close that book, no time. I don't care like Lil Wayne said, I leave the Bible open and I go out into the world. Okay, that's all you do it. The Most High not dealing with you, man, because you leave it open. You're not reading it. You're not hearkening to the words in the pages. Is Israel a homeborn slave? Are you a homeborn slave? Were you born to be a slave? It's cats out there that got billions. It's cats out there that got thousands. It's cats got hundreds. It's cats that ain't got nothing. But if we connect as a nation, connect the truth with the truth, we can back all these imposters up, man. We can rebuild what has been taken from us. We can rebuild a place that we never knew we can rebuild, man. Jerusalem is waiting on us. We're waiting on Jerusalem, no, because our people are asleep. Jerusalem is waiting on us. It's enjoying this Sabbath while our people over here struggling, having to work Monday through Sunday. When they gave you that Gregorian calendar, they gave you 7 days of a week. 7 days to work according to their schedule, their ways, their livelihood, their customs. You continue to pay taxes so these Caucasians in America could build themselves up and send money to the fictitious imposters in Jerusalem. But who are we? Who are we? We don't know because we're not trying to. We're not coming back to our nationality. We're not trying to wake up and realize who we are according to these scriptures because people, even though you can read and write, you don't want to understand diction. You don't understand reading and writing. You think it's hard to read. It doesn't take 1 second to read an article. This article said, by the eve of the Civil War, Christianity had pervaded. That means it had went into the slave community. The Christianity that was taught according to the Caucasians, it went into to the Negroes. It went to their community. This happened in the 1860s. So before the 1860s, who were we? When we came off those slave ships, who were we? Who were we? You don't want me to tell you, you don't know. I will tell you. You are a true Israelite, not no Egyptian. Read Exodus 11:7. It tells you who you are. There's a difference between the Egyptians and us. Read Amos 9:7. I give you the scripture. You ain't got to read the whole book with me. I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you. I'm going to break it down to you, man. I'm going to break it all the way down to you, man. You're just like us. We are brothers and sisters of the same struggle, man. We're going through the same exact thing. We're going through the same exact thing, man. We're up under the same governmental rule, man. This nation has been ruling on top of us for far too long. And in order for our people to wake up, we got to remember who we once was. And the only way to remember that is to tap into that spirit that's within you. Let me tell you what that spirit within you is. Let me tell you what that spirit within you is. Deuteronomy 7:6. Deuteronomy 7:6. I'm going to tell you what that spirit within you is. For there are a holy people. A holy people, man. The spirit within you is holy, man. You know why it's holy? Because the Most High chose you. Chose you. He didn't choose the Caucasian. He gave us over to them because of our disobedience. Disobedience. For there are a holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord have chosen thee to be a special people. A special people unto himself, above all people, above all people, above all people that are upon the face of the earth. Can't nobody on the face of the earth say they gangster and better than us because we got a God and they don't. Can't nobody say they 100, man, because they ain't. Can't nobody say they real because they ain't, man. We the only ones on the face of the earth that got a God. Ain't no Arabians got no God. You know why? Because when Jacob came up, that was a whole different nation the Most High was dealing with. He already blessed Ishmael. He already blessed Ishmael. He already gave them whatever they were going to get. They became a powerful nation. From 1609 to 632, that's when Muhammad came up with the Quran. Our book wasn't complete. Our book wasn't complete until the 16th century. The 1600s. It wasn't complete until the 1600s. That's when our history was already being foretold. And guess who took it and ran with it? It was these Caucasians. Whether you believe they're Japhetic, whether you believe they're Edomites, I don't know. I don't care. Because at the end of the day, I know what nation is upon me. I'm only one man fighting for a nation that has no understanding because our people are destroyed by the lack of knowledge, man. But they don't know in Deuteronomy 7:6, for there are holy people. We're holy, man. We're not Christians, man. We're just holy. That's why all these cats want to claim a religion, because they think a God can be with them if they claim onto these laws, if they cleave onto these laws. The Most High is not dealing with you like that. Your prayers are an abomination. If these pastors are so holy, then why can't you cure these Caucasians from all their racism? Why do they still be so ignorant according to us? Why do they think we're monkeys, but they're the ones born with tails? You got to understand that, man. When you understand it, you wake up, and when you wake up, you will live better and do better. Like I tell people, I'm not going to be here forever. I'm not going to be here forever. This knowledge I have is not going to be here forever. Only one person can hold on to all this information by himself and try his best to reach out to people that aren't trying to hearken and trying to understand it. I didn't do all this studying for nothing. It's for you and your children. Your children growing up in the world they know nothing about. They capitalizing on that. You don't know nothing about a straw man. They capitalizing on your death. They making money on you. They making money on you. That's why they gave you the birth certificate and social security card. When the slaves came over in a slave ship, they didn't have no birth certificate and social security card. How can you not understand that? Because you're so caught up and comfortable in your religion. You're so comfortable thinking that the God working with you. He's not working with you. He's chastising you. He's chastising you. He's showing you something. Until you decide to wake up and come back to these laws, man. And how do you come back to these laws? It's not hard. All you got to do is start reading the Bible one scripture at a time, man. And if you can't understand it, man, reach out to a brother like me or reach out to any one of the brothers that can help it. And if you can't get no understanding from them, I'll always be open, man. I ain't charging you for nothing. All I want is y'all to wake up and realize, man, who you truly are. Because when you wake up and realize you are a Hebrew Israelite and start claiming that, these Caucasians ain't got no choice but to bow down. You're no longer claiming to be an African American. You're no longer claiming to be black. You're no longer claiming to be a Christian. You're standing up for a change and you're saying, no, I'm an Israelite. I come from the line of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That's worth $1 billion. That's worth $1 trillion. That's worth all the money in y'all vote. Because we got a God that's over all y'all. Y'all can't do nothing to us. Nothing, man. All the police officers that want to wear that badge and want to serve man instead of the Most High, man, they ain't got no God, man. They will bow down, man. They can't run up on you, put their hands on you if you ain't doing nothing but telling them I'm an Israelite. I'm an Israelite. I don't need you. You need us. You got to understand how powerful that is to tell somebody they face, man, I don't need you. You need us. We built up America. America owe us. We don't owe America. Why the hell we paying taxes? They should pay taxes to us. See what I'm trying to tell y'all, man? If it take a man like me that was born in 81 that can understand this in 35 years, anybody can get it. Anybody can get it because they didn't teach us this in high school, man. They never told us this in high school. You had to get out of school and have to keep learning. They didn't tell you. You know why they didn't tell you? They don't want you to know. They didn't tell you that. They didn't tell you. They won't tell you in high school. These kids going to school now, they will not learn. They will not have no understanding. You know why? Because they're not going to explain it to them because these teachers was raised in the same system we was. The same system that lead from the school system to the prison system. Same system. It says, by the eve of the Civil War. They won't tell you that because they took the religion, so-called religion, out of school. But what about our nation? Our nation still in there need to understand what you have been stealing, what you have been taking, what you took from us. What you took from us, man. By the eve of the Civil War, Christianity had pervaded the slave community. Not all slaves were Christians. So a teacher, who were they since they weren't Christians? Because I'm a Christian. I'm a Mormon. I'm a Catholic. I'm a Presbyterian. So who are they then? Since they weren't Christians, I can't tell you that because it's against school policy. It's against school policy. We can't tell y'all that because they're special because the Most High is dealing with their nation. He don't like our nation. But if we say y'all that, they'll wake up and start telling everybody else and they'll turn their back on us. But we can't tell them. You know why we can't tell them? Because they're not supposed to know. It's a secret. It's so much of a secret that the fictitious guys over there claiming to be them get billions of dollars from the U.S. government every year to perpetrate a fraud. But they're not going to tell you that. They took their land. They got a place that they call their own. But they're not going to tell you that. They're not going to tell you that. So, teacher, during the Civil War era, why did the Northern Caucasian Christians go against the Southern Caucasian Christians, all to keep these people enslaved if they weren't Christians? Then why did they go against them? Teacher, I can't tell you that because it's a secret. It's a secret because when they got off the slave ship, they came from somewhere over there in that continent that they call Africa. They were sold into slavery by the Ethiopians. They were sold by the Ethiopians, and when the Ethiopians sold them, because guess what? During the sub-Saharan slave trade, guess what? So the Arabs sold them too. Everybody got rich out the back of slave trade, so they broke. They got nothing. They just strung out on drugs. They strung out on the corner. They want to get drunk. They want to get high. They want to turn up. That's all they know how to do. They like to have fun. You know why? Because they're a lively bunch. They're a lively bunch. They got life in them, but they don't know who their God is. They don't know that God is everything around us. The God that made the sun, the moon, the stars. They don't know that. And we can't tell them that. So teacher, the teacher's not going to bring it out to you. What I'm trying to say is, if you wake up and realize 2017 who you truly are, or you know who you truly are, this bark right here on this tree, it makes sense. You know why? Because the same bark on that tree, the melanin in this bark right here is right here. The same melanin that they did they scientific studies. The same melanin in the tree bark, the same melanin is right here in my skin complexion. It's in the soil of the earth, but they won't tell you that. They want to keep you blind, deaf, and dumb. They want to keep you docile. They don't want your children to know. If your children knew, they wouldn't be packing these prison systems. They wouldn't even worry about picking up no gun because the Most High can fight all battles, man. No weapon formed against who? The children of Israel shall prosper. When it's time to do battle, the Most High will pull out a vehicle that can't nobody drive but him. Can't nobody drive that vehicle but him. It's so fast, and so strong, and so hard, man. He run over any nation. He's just looking for the children of Israel to wake up and realize who they are. Because when you humble yourself together and call on the name of the Most High, wherever you believe his name is. It's too many of you saying too many names, man. This is my Father I'm talking about, man. Humble yourself. His name is not Jesus Christ. That was the Messiah. He didn't come for you to worship him as no idol. He came looking for the lost sheep of Israel. He was murdered. He was murdered. Murdered. He didn't go to the cross willingly. He was handed over, kissed on the cheek by Judas. People don't know that. Know why? Because they don't know the story. But every time these Caucasians come out with a movie, The Passion of the Christ by Mel Gibson, they run and go see that. They run and go see that. But he didn't exist because they make it so stupid that you can't understand it or believe it. Because how can Caucasians be in a hot climate, desert climate, and not get skin cancer and get burnt up and die of heat, exhaustion? You see what I'm saying? These Caucasians is so cunning and so, you gotta understand something. Lucifer, Satan's greatest trick was convincing the world he didn't exist. And using his followers to do his dirty work. Those who claim to be satanic and Luciferians. Why you think Aleister Crowley, the grandfather of George Bush, came out with Satanists, the Church of Satanism, gave them a religious freedom? I have a page called the Israelite Hebrew Nation, live streams. It won't even allow me to allow certain people into my group. And it's crazy because people aren't trying to wake up. My page, I put everything on it. I don't care about these Caucasians. They say knowledge is power. If all my people wake up and realize who they are, you know how powerful we'll be as a nation? They couldn't do nothing to us, man. Nothing but catch these hands, man. Nothing but catch these hands, man. But at the end of the day, I just want the people to realize, man, there's a difference between those that came off those slave ships and your children's generation now, man. The generation of the same children now. Because you're claiming to be so-called Christians. Because they implemented so many passwords and bywords on the top of you. They have you believing you can be whatever you want to be in life if you apply yourself. But you can be a greater nation if you apply yourself as well. In order to do that, you got to wake up and realize who you are. You wake up and realize who you are, nothing can harm you, man. Nothing. You won't have to fear no man but God, man. You got to understand something, man. When the children of Jacob got so comfortable, they started to fall off the law, statutes, commandments. They started to lose the faith of the Most High. They started to fall away from the law, statutes, commandments that was given to Moses. And you know what happened? The Most High said, okay, that's what y'all want to do. Go into the world. Become part of the world. I will scatter you among all the people, all the nations, where you should go whoring after all gods. Look at 2017, man. Nobody cares about nobody. Everybody want to do what they want to do. If you can't do nothing for them, they don't care. They don't care. If you can't help them out, they don't care. And you know why? Because they don't have no love for you. You know why? Because they lost the love. The only love you got is the love for the Most High. But all y'all want to go to church on a Sunday, claim to be a Christian, knowing by the eve of the Civil Wars, Christianity had pervaded the slave community, and not all slaves were Christians. Not all slaves were Christians. Not all slaves were Christians. So who were these people that wasn't Christians? Who were they? They didn't claim a religion. They didn't claim a religion. So who were they? Who were they? They didn't claim a religion. So they had to be from somewhere. And they tell you quick, you come from Africa. No, we don't. We come from Jerusalem. And I ain't gonna hold y'all too long, man. I just wanted to bring that out, man, so y'all can get a little bit of understanding about the difference between the slave and Christianity. Christianity, religion. Not all slaves were Christians, man. And this was during the Civil War. So that was during 1860. 1860. And when that popped off, man, we gotta understand something. We were so-called free. But they came up with a 13th Amendment to keep you in bondage by putting you in prison for anything. You can look at a Caucasian and you automatically go to prison. You can look at a Caucasian and go to prison. You can step on a Caucasian bubblegum, they just spit out their mouth and you go to prison. For any little thing, man. Y'all gotta understand that, man. It's the reason why y'all going through so much, man. It's the reason why I'm going through so much, because I'm a part of the same nation. But until we wake up and rise up, man, we never understand it. We'll never come back as a whole. And I tell y'all, I love y'all, man. And this is a nice Sunday, man. And shalom, y'all, man. And enjoy y'all Sabbath, because I might come back a little later, man. I love y'all.